Hey, 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 welcome back. We're here again this wonderful Monday afternoon at 2. Thank you again for joining us on Rabell Realty Group podcast live on Facebook, Instagram, a couple other places as well.
Coming soon to some more places.
Yeah, like LinkedIn and Instagram. So we welcome you. I'm Kristen and Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Johnson.
Thanks for joining. We have a lot to talk about today. And of course, we're always going to start with the Monday market moment. Here we go.
All right, so let's see how April is starting to close out. We have one more week left. We're going to start with the Alachua County market. And so over there, we've got 175 listings that have come on in the month of April that are still available, with 355 pending sales and 224 closed sales. So we are seeing those inch up in terms of closed and pending, and obviously lacking in inventory. I mean, that gorgeous house we just started the show with already went under contract, and it was listed, I believe, Thursday?
It was listed Thursday. Well, Wednesday evening at 10, no showings Thursday.
So showing started Friday.
So already went under contract, and that's what's happening. We'll talk about that a little after. We'll talk about these other locations.
Then St. Augustine is looking strong. They've got 65 active listings that are still on the market that came on as of April 1st, with 85 under contract and 56 closed. Now, I did talk to somebody on Thursday who gave me some interesting insight into St. Augustine. He owns property over there as well, vacation rental properties that he also uses for personal use. And he was telling me he gets letters all the time from property managers. Asking if people are looking to sell because they have other investors in the community that are wanting to put more with the management company. So he said, after talking to the property managers, because he's also in the industry, that what they're finding is that property managers are actually leading the pack and putting
they're doing these letters, right?
They're doing these letters and leading the pack and getting these places. Basically, the seller calls them, they connect them with the investor, they collect their commission, and then put it into their rental pool. So it's really quite a genius way.
Yes,
so a lot of them aren't even hitting the market now.
And they are doing the short term, right? The Airbnb style, month long, and then seasonal, not necessarily the year long. And so people, these investors and owners who might use it for, their own holidays are making a lot more money. I don't know the percentage, maybe but then putting it on the market to rent for the entire year.
Right. I mean, a lot of people that own over there, in this gentleman's case, he actually had to go in and time block the dates that he wanted for the rest of the year because he's literally got people through January. And
then you have the snowbirds who come down for all of winter. So you can have the weekenders, the week-longs, the month-longs, mostly coming from Canada, upper state, all the upper northern states where it's really cold. They come down to get away from that horrible snow so that they can enjoy what we think is freezing weather.
Anything below
and they
70.
love it. They're in there, they're very white, pale skin, even whiter than ours. And they're out.
Yeah, I remember. Where are you going with
remember growing up, in Gainesville and going to the beaches, and it was always again Canadians and Upper Peninsula, Americans coming down, and they were in their their bathing suits, in this really cold weather, the pools, the beaches. And, we happened to be there maybe for a couple of days and we're like, how do you do this? But they loved it.
That's crazy.
I'd get away from the snow also.
Yeah.
I'm a Florida girl all through and through.
No, thank you. No snow. And then, so St. Augustine, you have a lot going on. If you're looking for a vacation rental there or a, property that you want to list
second
home, let us know. We're happy to assist with that. And then for our Tampa market, they're seeing a good bit of activity as well. We'd also like to welcome Paul Belt to the Rabell Realty Group family. He just joined us in Tampa. He's working under Lisa Moore. So we've got 1,017 active listings that have hit the market since April 1st that have not gone under contract, and then pending sales, almost 1,900. Now, Tampa's a larger metropolitan style area, so it's not unusual. This is still a low number for them. And then closed sales, you've got 1,530. So you've got a good number. You can see that you're still trying to play catch up. Everybody is seeing an inventory shortage. One of our realtors was telling us that in the hello, Josh. One of our realtors was telling us this morning that she read an article from Florida Realtors, which is out of Orlando, but covers the state, saying that we had a deficit of 4 million homes that could be sold right now if the product was available. So,
right. And we'll get into that a little bit with
we're gonna
new
get into
construction and everything. But what I'm seeing here is everything's very consistent.
Yes.
Consistent throughout the markets. And like you're saying, a lot of these listings in at least St. Augustine are even making it there because the property managers are going in and grabbing them before they even make it on the market, which is why we're not seeing a lot there. But also, just throughout this whole entire year, doing this podcast, obviously the beginning of the month isn't, doesn't have a lot of information, but by the time you get to the third or fourth, week, you're noticing, your active listings are very small compared to the pending and the closed. And almost every week, I won't lie, every time we put these, videos on, they've already gone under contract. We put them on, the market the end of the month or the end of the week before or that week. And then when we go to post the videos, they're already sold. So we are still seeing houses go very quickly. I was actually across the street from this seller's house talking to another seller who was shocked that in the 7 or 8 years they've lived there, has it been about that long with them?
That sounds about right.
They've been able to make over 100,000. And she's been in her house for 18 years and she wanted to make double that. So the numbers weren't really the same for her, being a smaller house, but still, people are really this equity in their homes. They're being able to, purchase them, make a good amount of money. And these sellers, we know them, they've bought and sold with us for many years. They actually purchased in St. Augustine. They lost a few, and then they end up getting one that they really loved. So we don't want you to be discouraged about these numbers because we are still finding homes. It's just a big fight. Every morning we have a huddle call with our realtors. Well, not every morning, sorry. Monday, Wednesday, Friday with our team. Monday, Wednesday for everybody. And our agents are able to get on. And one was talking about today. He's fairly newer, but already within his first month closed his first deal, which you can do in real estate as long as you put your heart and soul into it and really work and learn quickly. But he put 11 offers on a house before one went under contract. And what happened was you really have to be vigilant. You have to have a vigilant realtor also, someone who's really looking at the market for you. But one came up, he had it saved on his phone to where he could see it. They were out showing houses. He saw one came on, called the realtor, was able to get in and get it sold. So we're still able to make that happen. We also find people talk about, well, what if I list my house and I can't find a house now? What we're doing is actually finding them the house first and then listing the house. And you can't be wild and crazy about your pricing. One thing we're definitely noticing is that you don't have to put for every single repair you thought you had to, but you have to make it clean and presentable. So a lot of things that we've talked about throughout our podcast are getting your houses ready. It is getting it ready, but really the biggest thing is when someone walks in and they say, I can live here. So the cleanliness factor is probably the biggest I've ever experienced right now than before. That front door, the front lawn, walking in the house smells nice, clean, decluttered. That is the most important thing. People are buying houses even though the flooring's not the same everywhere. There's not, granite or, any hard stone countertops. They just want it clean and manageable. That's what I'm saying. So don't get discouraged by these numbers because they have been consistent. Actually, be excited by them because, it really is a time to sell your home and you can find something. You just have to really start looking and be ready. So, yeah.
All right.
Big conversation there. That's a talk by Kristen.
There
but
you go.
I don't want people to get discouraged by these numbers. So and I hear a lot of people get nervous, but I think it's still a great time to sell and buy.
I do too. I agree. So I know we're going to be talking about construction costs and what's happening with that. There's a lot of articles, and actually they're in mainstream news outlets, which I thought is
interesting. They're probably hearing this as well, right?
Yeah, obviously the two of us and our team read a lot of industry publications that have been talking about this for probably since August, September of last year. It's really been in a topic of the industry. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing is it's trickling into the mainstream media. I'm seeing a lot of it in Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times. They're starting to talk about the cost of construction and other local publications. I think the Gainesville Sun, I think I saw y'all had an article in this a week or two ago talking about the cost of construction. And how it's affecting the market, how it's affecting the builders, because it does affect them.
And then the consumers, the
and then the
buyers.
consumers. The cost has been driven up. Basically, a lot of the articles indicate that during COVID, mills were shut to partial capacity. And if one person in the team, because they were in shifts or whatever you want to call them, contracted COVID, the entire shift was
Shut down.
So
For
then
2
you
weeks.
had, lumber yards that were running at very minimal capacity, not keeping up with demand. So there are obviously shortages as well.
Right. And that demand was driven by people wanting to redo their homes. The outside, that's fencing. There's lumber right there. The inside, it's not just the construction, but renovations were huge.
Yes.
People wanting another room at their house rather than buy, they were actually adding on. So, yeah. Just to add on to your conversation.
Yeah, and it's not just lumber that we're seeing this in. It's windows and doors and light fixtures and appliances.
Shingles, right.
The entire
Flooring.
world basically shut down or was working at half capacity, if even half, in some cases. So we're seeing a shortage. And everybody hopefully understands or can think back to 11th grade economics class about supply and demand and how it affects the pricing. So pricing for materials is way
Sky
up.
high. Yeah.
In some areas for like lumber, it's at an all-time premium, and then other areas, it's a little lower, or not too much higher. But that mixed with the shortage is making it really hard on builders locally, nationally, regionally, all the builders, not just here. And it's slowing build times, which I know consumers aren't happy about. Right. It's making builders hesitant to enter into contracts or list properties. We have we have a couple of builders that we work with, and one of them, I was having a conversation with his team, and they were telling me how they want to go to contract, but somebody
they're
that
nervous about the pricing.
They're nervous. Yeah, they're more custom, and they've been talking with somebody since November, and they had to raise the price on them, which was an awkward conversation. But that person had been dragging their feet a little bit, and now here we are in April. They still haven't agreed, and I'm like,
Prices
you're going to have
risen,
to,
right?
you're going to have to raise the prices again. And I know there's this perception that builders make all this money and all that, but if you can only turn out a great product 8 times a year, or however many you can do in a year feasibly, minus all your expenses, and your expenses have basically doubled, they have to pass some of that cost on to the consumer. So it's making builders very hesitant to sign on to build out neighborhoods and to do things, which I know we just talked about in the Monday Market Report, that the state Florida realtors
I was just going to bring it up,
saying that we need 4 million homes to meet the current demand.
And we're not getting those because, and we've talked about this before, there's a couple of builders in Ocala. And so this is all around. This is just the most local we've heard. They're deciding not to build at all. And like the builder you were speaking to, he's kind of hesitant about starting new construction, new projects, because the prices are too high for his, desire to really start, because he's not going to make the money that's needed in order to get to the next one.
Keep his business running, right.
So, it's sort of this where
it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Yeah. Thank you.
Where did we go with that? How did we get to the same place?
Chicken and the egg. Which came first? Right. He was telling me about a house that he was offered to purchase, and I can't remember the specifics, but it was basically like, I'm just going to use the number 700,000, offered to purchase from a friend, and then he declined it. A year later, he got a notification, hey, the house sold for like 1.2, you got to move. And they're buying it to knock it down.
Yeah.
So
these construction costs are affecting us all over the market. So with your renovations, with the fact that we don't have enough product out there to purchase, cost of homes rising because of the lack of homes being built, cost of new construction homes because of the construction costs going higher. So it's affecting us all around, which kind of gets into our next slide, because we're going to go into that. Affordable housing. We're not going to touch hugely on this because this could be a year-long debate.
Could be a lifetime debate.
I can tell you we don't have the answers. And we would love the answers, but we don't have them. And every area, town, city, county is trying to think of how to tackle affordable housing, because this isn't new. It's just getting harder and harder, because as construction costs rise, the ability to purchase homes at a certain price, which is affordable housing price, goes away. So right now we're seeing, we've talked about this before. Normally in the past couple of years, we've been around 230, 250 as the average price. And now we're like barely below 300,000. If we were to look again, we might even be slightly over 300,000. So that really knocks out in terms of not just buyers, but also renters, affordable housing. And affordable housing is being hit in the renters market. I know locally, and this is probably a tough topic to talk about. You know a lot about it, and we won't get very much into it. But, there's a new law that's coming into effect, October?
They're going to start doing the inspections. From what I understand, it's already in effect. Yes. They're going to start enforcing it and doing the inspections as of October 1st.
And that's basically, if you live in the city and you have rentals, you have to get them up to code, up to energy efficiency levels, which is a lot of money, which goes into that construction prices being higher. So you're probably, and also, even materials for, like, say, ACs, roofing, things like that, windows, she was talking about, appliances, which all have to do with bringing it up to code and up to
the energy standards
right.
set by the city ordinance.
And
correct.
So that causes more money out of the pockets of the landlords, the owners, which everybody thinks, landlords and owners have so much money. It might be their only job. This might be what they do for a living in
one case, I interviewed one on Friday, and they are barely breaking even on a property they bought in 2006, but they can't afford to sell it yet either. So it's
still, even with this market, right?
Well, yes. Basically.
Yeah. So, we get all into this. Affordable housing is affected because now we don't have enough product, and we can't build cheap houses. Also, anything that was on the docket for possible affordable housing communities, multifamily or neighborhoods that were going to be built for affordable housing are off the table because of the construction costs, or at least they're sidelined for now. So we are going to get into an even worse problem with affordable housing because of all of this. Now, it can be corrected through time, right? At least a little bit, but the original affordable housing problems will still be there. So, we'll probably bring this up a little bit more often to talk about it and come up with other ideas. I know you were talking about in St. John's how they had an entire neighborhood.
Yes.
Which is probably sidelined because of construction costs.
I don't know what they're doing. I actually need to look that back up, but it was 2,000 homes that were going to be a rental community you couldn't purchase, at least not at this time. And they were single family residences. We know we're going to see something like that in Gainesville. In a couple of years. I saw that was on a plan, and we'll see how that goes for them. I don't know if they're tabling it or if they're just going to proceed. I had a meeting with somebody that was looking to build multifamily, and they were going to table it for a bit due to construction costs, but finally just bit the bullet and said, I'm going to move forward and do this anyways. And we have a lot of multifamily going up right now, and I think about it all the time, how their cost must have gone. The project, what is it, over
if it
behind
goes up 20%, it could push them out of making it affordable.
A profit. Oh, yeah.
And a profit or even keeping it affordable. So if they're going up 40%, which is where some of the, numbers are, I would think they'd have to table or sideline most of it.
One's pressing forward. They're working on it every day down on 13th, or two of them actually on 13th. Right. So
they're needed, right?
We need them.
It's necessary. Yes. We've had some conversations, before about how, this has always been a problem. And a lot of realtors try to come up with new ways to help this and being a part of it. So, we'll talk about it even more. We actually have to take a break. So,
yes.
So you're getting a little nervous about this also. No, but we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about other important things and then some fun stuff.
I discovered Rabell Realty Group through Kristen and Rebecca and Rebecca, meeting them different places, showing houses or open houses that they were having, parade of homes even, and that was really impressive to me. I left my other agency and I wanted to check out several others, and the first place I came to was Rabell Realty Group, and I just liked the vibe. I liked the people that met me at the door, were friendly, and said, you want to work here? Stay here, sit down, let me get you a cup of coffee. Kristen and Rebecca aren't here right now, but I know they want to talk to you. And the next thing you know, I'm talking to them on the phone and they're eager to meet me. They have marketing here that is just over the top. I feel like I can stay really current with today's market working with this company. Financially, they give me a great opportunity to make money. There's a lot of business that comes my way through working with this agency. I've already talked to several agents, young ones wanting to come here because I think it's a great opportunity for them to start a business. We're in charge of our own destiny, and they make that really clear and give us all the tools that we need to build the kind of business that we want. I find it really easy to recommend this company.
All right. Thanks for coming back. That was our wonderful agent, Trey Anderson. We love her. If you love horses, if you love gardening, if you love dogs,
Cats.
if you
She's
love
got a
cats, right? And if you love golf, she is the realtor for you.
Very true.
She's had a lot of wonderful past lives and knows a lot about everything. So, yeah, David, thanks for coming on here. The market is crazy right now. Good. Glad to help you with the insight on this and just talk about it. All right. So this is something not in our area, but I just want to pose a question. So you live here in Gainesville, right? And you see this great opportunity to buy an investment property for you and, you know, try to move into years later, retirement plan, right? In another city, another state. And it's a multifamily, you know,
It was a condo conversion.
Before condo conversion, it was a multifamily unit, and in the contract, the stipulation that coming up soon, like in the next 5 years, it would become a condo conversion so that you could move into it. But right now it's just rented. And so you're happy to have this place. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to live near the ocean. Yes, granted, we're in Florida. We'd already live near the ocean. But say you're going to live in the mountains and it's going to be the exact place you want to be. And all of a sudden the city changes the laws saying that anyone who is converting the condos has to first allow the renter to purchase it. And there's a set price that they have to purchase it at. And if they say no, you have to offer a lifetime lease, which means you will never be able to move into it.
And remind me again, who's setting the purchase price?
The city.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure that was tied back in there because that's very interesting. Yes, this was an article.
Lots of articles.
Yes,
this is
lots of
actually,
articles.
if we can have the next slide. Pactel versus San Francisco. Yes, San Fran, we're going to kind of talk bad about you. You've had, housing problems for a long time. You're a big city. Everyone loved to be there and then are moving out quickly. But this happened a couple of years ago, and they're still fighting San Francisco because they lived in Ohio. They found this great community. It was tenants in common, and they had to convert it to a condo so that they could own it, so they could actually own a portion of it and move into it. And that was their retirement plan. And then they were slapped in the face with this new law by San Francisco. And we understand San Francisco is very different, but this might be happening everywhere else. And so it's a very...
What's scary is that if they get this through and San Francisco wins, is that it could set a precedent. And this would be, obviously, I'm assuming San Francisco is using this as their way to counteract affordable housing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But what's scary is right now
the district courts and the appeals courts, so he's not winning.
Yeah, so it's scary to me as somebody in real estate and somebody that would buy investment property. Because that's what a lot of people do actually between here and St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. And when the market is hot, this is when we saw in 2006 and 2007, they were converting old apartments into condo conversions. So could you imagine you put your money into this and then you find out that the city made an ordinance that you can't just move in, you have to
first offer them to pay. And actually, they also, because there's a rent standard in these larger cities, this is sort of everywhere with the bigger cities, they can't rent higher than a certain amount. So there's a rent rule, and you can only, so whatever they're renting at now. And so as property managers, because we are also property managers, and landlords, even if you don't have a property manager, your idea is if someone stays in there eventually to keep up with the market, every year,
as it
you're
goes
able,
up, as it goes down, you
to
need
change it. Even if they're the same, tenant there the whole time, you might be able to bring it back a little and make it a little cheaper for them in a bad market or raise it in a good market. And so because of these rules, they have to offer it at the current amount and stay with it. So
that's absolutely crazy to me, but it's scary because I could totally see that if this was successful, other areas saying, well, we're going to do it with residential investment properties, or we're going to do it with this property. And we have in our property management company a few people that own properties that they purchased a long time ago that they intend to move here when they retire.
Well, luckily it didn't affect single family or duplexes, only quadruplexes or more, right? Sure, you say yet. And really, the fact is that, so if they do not offer these two, then all condo conversions are halted. And how I read that was all throughout the city. So one person messes up, all throughout the city is cut down. So, or stopped. So they might be sued by many other owners. So there's a lot of different parts of this, but yes, it could eventually affect duplexes and single family.
Oh, I think if they saw it worked in what their mind is worked, by the way, not what it actually works in the mind of the consumer, that they would certainly go after the next type of market, whether it's a regular condo or a single family residential home or a duplex, all things. That's how you get things like the Renters' Rights
And
Act.
it just starts back with affordable housing. Do these affordable housing measures really work? And that's why we say we don't have the answer, but these are some things that do affect us as realtors, consumers, investors, buyers, and renters, because, are we going to be able to continue with this if we offer, if we stop people from being able to make decisions to make their lives better by buying an investment property that will eventually be their retirement property. Are they supposed to stay where they've been their whole life because you've offered them the ability to stay where you are at a reduced rate that does not cover all of the costs? Is it going to go into foreclosure now? So it's quite a scary, issue that they're having over there in San Francisco, but wanted to bring that up.
And you could certainly go online and read all about it. It had a lot of interesting stuff to go with it. So,
all right, for the fun stuff.
So
if you don't like all of this and want it to go away, apparently you can paint it green.
Yes.
According to Disney.
So Disney has a color. I thought this was interesting since we talk about color and design and all that, called Go Away Green. And apparently they paint their lampposts and trash can. Well, maybe not trash cans because you want people to see those, but things that they don't want you to notice immediately. So when they're doing construction, everything is a go away green, doors, different things. So I just thought that was really interesting. Thank you, TikTok, for bringing that up. And then it had us coming up with other greens that might be nice or pretty or.
So I'm not a green girl. I don't love a lot of greens. You are. You actually have a lot of greens that you love and look good in.
Yeah.
I try to like greens because they're an earthy color, but it's not my favorite. I'm more
an
blue.
earth sign.
Right. So green has never been my favorite color. So I think it's funny that they're like, if you don't like this, then use green. And then I have to say something because of you can show the other picture. Apparently these doors in Disney, if they don't want you to see them and this is really more for staff to run away, or I don't know if you've ever heard, like if somebody ever gets hurt or something happens, they immediately run them through the doors. These are probably the doors and they're green. Okay. So I think only Elio will get this. And I hope this is not taken the wrong way, but growing up in a half Cuban family, I always knew about gringos. And that's what we're called, the whitey Americans, the gringos. And I heard it was because of, I don't know which country, but all the Americans were in green camouflage. And so they came up with green go, gringos. So go away green was actually created by the Latinos who were like, get out. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you, the Greek father from My Big Fat Greek? Went, the root of all the words is Cuban. Oh my gosh. What are you going to have me working in your restaurant next?
Yeah,
Never let me leave?
We love to talk about all the historical facts in our family. So, I wonder, I just thought that now. I was like, oh my goodness, this is
Give
so
her a
crazy.
word, any word, and she'll show you how the root of that word is actually Cuban. Bring it on, Greek friends. Bring
Latin,
it on.
but whatever.
Whatever, Latin. Y'all are all the same, aren't you? No, I'm just joking. I love all my Cubans.
Hey, listen, gringo.
Actually,
you're gringa.
There. Thank you for letting me be female. Well, there you go. So go away green. So if you don't like it, paint it and
green.
get it out of there.
You won't see it anymore.
So that's what we've got for today. So we're going to talk a little bit about K&R Property Management. If you have a property in the Gainesville greater area, all the way down to Ocala, actually, we are happy to assist you with managing it and taking the headache out of it for you. We can paint it go away green, or we can just manage it and help you get some money off of it.
Sounds good. And if you're looking to get into real estate or change your real estate career in Gainesville and the surrounding areas, Ocala even, St. Augustine, Tampa, please give us a call, actually an email. join@buysellrebell.com. Join our team. Next up.
Let's get social. Did you know you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we have to update it. We're now back on LinkedIn. And we will hopefully be going live. So we're just waiting for that approval. So check us out there.
Yep. And you can subscribe on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. We would love to see you there, and you can watch us there also.
Here, there, and everywhere. We'll do a Dr. Seuss episode for you all. Did you know we had a blog? I did. It's at buysellrebell.com/blog.
Yep. Actually, these podcasts are going on there now. And as always, we love to thank the Fiesta Media for making this happen. If it wasn't for Elio telling us this is what we have to do, we would not be here. So we appreciate that. We love that. We found this to be an amazing way to connect and keep ourselves out there, hoping for you all to watch us and so we can talk to you and give us some great, insightful information. So again, as I always say, if you want to start a podcast, first you come on ours as a visitor, you see how awesome it is, and we can talk about your business, and then you can contact them at 352-327-5089 to start your own.
Have a great Monday.
Thanks for joining. We appreciate you.